Hi, 3rd through 4th grade. Today is our last writing class. We are doing a book summary. When you do a book summary, the first thing you do, and this makes sense, is you choose your book. So when you choose your book, I want you to choose something you love to read, something that's one of your favorites. We're not writing about an entire series. So if you're writing about one of the American Girl books, we're not writing about the whole American Girl series. We're not writing about the whole Boxcar Children series or the whole Little House on the Prairie series. Just pick one book, and you need to include several things about it. So you have to have already read it. And here's what I want you to include. I want you to include the main character or characters. Okay, so if we're doing The Little House on the Prairie, the main character would be Laura and her family. And you can even make a list like I'm doing before you write your summary. Then you're going to do the main conflict. Now, the main conflict is the main problem that the main character faces that affects the whole book. So, in Little House on the Prairie, normally it's the fact that they have to move, I believe near the beginning of the book, or one of the books, the main problem in the series is about these locusts that come and eat up their crops, and they're not sure if they can make it through the winter till the next year. Another one, the main conflict is a big storm that comes through. So there's always a main conflict. Sometimes there are lots of conflicts, but you're looking for the main one. If you're thinking about the main conflict of the Boxcar Children, the very first book, it's that they have no parents and they have to find a place to live to survive. Then you need to answer the question, how do the main character or characters grow? How do they change through this conflict? Do they become more brave? Do they become more sensitive? Do they become more knowledgeable? Maybe in the beginning they were ignorant and at the end they are not anymore. Maybe they become famous. So how do they grow, and how is the problem, or what we say the main conflict, how is it resolved? How is the problem fixed? So if it's a storm, the problem is fixed because they make it through the storm. If it's about a character who has another character that doesn't like them, then maybe in the end they like each other. So you take notes and you answer all of these questions here, and then you get ready to write your paragraph. Now, one note here, when you're writing a paragraph like this, it might be tempting to say, I'm going to tell you about my favorite book, The Little House on the Prairie. Now, we're not going to do that. In writing, we don't tell people what we're going to do. We just do it. Okay, so we don't announce what we're going to say before we say it. Now, if you were giving a speech, you might do this, but this is not a speech. This is writing. So in your very first sentence, the very subject of your very first sentence should be the main character. So if I'm, again, using my Laura Ingalls Wilder example, I would say Laura and her family. And then the very next sentence is the verb I'm going to choose is I am going to use a verb that describes how she grows or changes. Or I might even just use a neutral verb like face. Laura and her family face challenges as they move from their comfortable house to an unknown territory in the woods. Let's do on the prairie because that's where we're going, right? Little house on the prairie. Okay, so I summarized the main character, the main conflict. They were traveling and they had challenges. I didn't quite talk about how they grow yet. My next sentence would be maybe to describe some of these challenges they faced on their journey. They worked together to survive. I know you probably can't read my handwriting, but hopefully you can make it out while I'm reading it. To survive wild animal attacks, harsh weather, loneliness, and weariness on the trail. And then I'm going to talk about how they overcome that. They overcome by working together. I already said they work together. On their journey, they survive. I'm going to delete this here. They survive wild animal attacks, harsh weather, loneliness, and weariness on the trail. They overcome by working together and showing kindness to strangers. And then the very last sentence is where you can share a little bit of your perspective. You can say, I recommend this book to all kids, or to all girls, or all third graders, or all second graders, or all beginner readers. I'm just going to write kids, but you can decide who you want to recommend it to. Maybe you want to recommend it to moms. So this is our paragraph now. Let's read it together. Lara and her family face challenges as they move from their comfortable house to an unknown territory on the prairie. On their journey, they survive wild animal attacks, harsh weather, loneliness, and weariness on the trail. They overcome by working together and showing kindness to strangers. I recommend this book to all kids. Okay? So you can do the same thing. And it doesn't have to be long. It's very short. But you think of it as, how would I tell my friend about this book? Or maybe you think, if I picked up a book and I read the back, what is always on the back? The back is a summary of the book. So I hope you enjoy this last assignment. My students, we will also edit this together and save it for our newsletter that we send out. But I've enjoyed having you this year. I hope you get to look at the other video series I've done. If you want to progress, you could also redo this same series next year and change your topics, because this is a skill and you'll get better at it every time you do it. Have a great year.